Want to grow stunning azaleas and rhododendrons? Discover the native and Asian azaleas and rhododendrons that you can add to your garden, plus expert tips for gardening success.
Charles Hunter is my name, and we live here in Smyrna on a 1.6 acre lot. It's in a subdivision, and the lot is bigger than most of the lots in the subdivision because the back area where the woodland is 100-year floodplain, so the builder could not build another home or two or three like they would like to have done back there. This lot and the lot next to us have very large acreage. The other side is the spillway to the dam. Of course, all lakes in Georgia are dammed up creeks. This is not an exception to that. We have a big woodland area back here, and I've put a lot of native plants back here. I have one section of the garden that's restricted to native plants of Korea, China, Japan, and Taiwan, which are, generally speaking, plants that do well in our part of the country.
Can you tell us what USDA hardiness zone you are now?
It's 8A. It's suburban northwest Atlanta, the city of Smyrna, Georgia.
So those plants are thriving in this zone.
Not everything from China will live here because things from the high 10,000 feet in the Himalayan mountains won't survive the summers. And some of the high elevation things in the eastern United States won't survive here either because we're about 950 feet, zone 8A. Some mountain stuff will. A lot of the native azaleas from high mountain areas will. Not all plants from high mountain habitats will do well here. I've kind of done it by trial and error.
And how long have you been working on developing your garden?
Well, we've lived here 27 years, so some of these plants, I moved small plants when we got married from my bachelor house, which was in northeastern Cobb County in the Marietta zip code. Not all, but I moved a lot of stuff, and then I've just been slowly acquiring things any way I can get them.
Now, in addition to the area that you have, the native plants, what other native plants?
Just the U.S. native plants. I also discovered not too long ago that certain Mexican plants will live here outdoors. I don't do anything in pots. I don't have a greenhouse. If it doesn't live out in the garden, I'm not interested in trying to grow it. So basically, I found out that certain Mexican plants will live here, which is, I think, kind of an anomaly because plants from the west coast of the United States, California, Oregon, Washington, don't live here very well. They're horrible. You know, none of the native rhododendrons or azaleas out there will even survive 1 year here. They just don't like our environment. But some of the Mexican plants, not all of them, not the tropical ones, but some of them perennial type plants that can go over so that the freezes here that we have that they don't usually have in Mexico doesn't affect them. So I call it North America because it's Mexico and the United States. I would grow Canada, but stuff from Canada is just not acclimated to the warm southeastern USA, so I really don't have anything that's from Canada.
Now, you mentioned azaleas and rhododendrons. Do you have an area in your garden where you have a lot of those planted?
You know, right here, and right where you see, this is almost all native azaleas, and not all of them are blooming because the bloom times are different. But I've discovered years ago that native azaleas, and there are some that are wild on this property, if you don't give them a certain amount of sun, they won't bloom. They'll live in the shade, they just won't make very many flowers, if any. When we bought the house, that was actually kind of a lawn back there, so we just reclaimed it. It's now just part of the woodland, but it's part of the woodland that gets more sun because there's not, other than this big pine tree here, there's really nothing that's overhead from these plants. But it's a little crowded now, so now I've got an area in the back where it gets a little bit of sun near the creek. We can go back.
Okay, that'd be great. Why don't we go take a closer look?
It's just about gone. Trying to think if there's anything else over here.
The people don't plant the deciduous, the native azaleas. They don't understand how they bloom.
Bloom at different times.
Right.
So to get a sequence of blooms, you just happen to hit it at a time. For example, this is one from South Alabama. I think it's a natural hybrid, and it's just now coming out. It was just barely starting to open. This one's not quite ready, and this right next to you is the Florida azalea that bloomed first, and it's done.
Right,
See how it's done?
finished.
It's just all through.
Right.
It should probably make seed pods there. The flame azalea, that's a little bit different than the Oconee azalea. They look exactly the same, don't they?
They do.
And you have to look in the buds for hairs and stuff, and this one won't bloom as a small plant. It has to be tall to bloom. The Oconee azalea, look how small this one is.
Yeah.
A flame azalea that size will not bloom. That's one way to tell, but that's not a very scientific way to tell.
Okay. Oconee
And they're kind of flame azaleas are up in the
flame.
mountains, roofing out straight ahead in front of the fence. And there's a few of them that are you see down near the Chattahoochee River in Cobb and in Fulton County, and that's kind of what those are.
Charles, a lot of your plants are not normally found in our big box stores and other nurseries. Where do you find your plants?
Just different things. I used to be in the Native Plant Society, and I'd rescue some, and some of them are mail order. I've gotten to know people. No, you can't just go to a local nursery and find a lot of this stuff. Although the nurseries do sell some of these rhododendrons and azaleas, some of them. For example, the species rhododendrons from China and Japan and all that. Generally, I would get those from the Rhododendron Species Foundation out in Washington State.
And that would be mail order, right?
Yeah, you just about have to mail order some of this strange stuff. And then with people, for example, I have a guy that brought me this columbine that's blooming right here last year. I gave him some trilliums, and he gave me this Eastern Red Columbine, is the name of that. There's a rhododendron that's past bloom, that's a rhododendron minus variety of Carolinianum. It's a small-leafed American rhododendron that a guy in South Carolina sent me years ago, and you can see that the blooms are about gone on it.
I love how you have labeled your plant.
Well, I won't remember what everything is if I don't label it.
I'm the same way.
So why don't we go down here, and I'll put you into the Asian garden. I've done is I put rocks on the pathways, and wherever you see the rocks, that means that at least one side of the path is part of the Asian garden. This area in here is all Taiwan. That little area in there is an anomaly because it gets more sun.
Now, is this from Asia?
No, just from right here. That's a Oconee azalea right here.
Oconee. Okay, that's native.
And that's a Rhododendron flammeum is the Latin name of it. And they grow around Atlanta. They're getting harder and harder to find, though, because development has wiped them out. But 100 years ago, you could find these all over Atlanta in the woods. Just aren't any same thing. It's just a kind of a yellower variety, same species.
Beautiful. And they bloom this time of year?
Yep.
And then in the winter, do they drop leaves?
Yeah, they're deciduous. Native azaleas are deciduous.
Okay. And this is part of the...
You're not into the Asian garden yet. The one behind it is probably a natural hybrid. I can't remember where I got that one. It's probably a natural hybrid because it's got the pink, but it's got a yellow blotch in the bloom. This one and the pink one, that's the common one called the Piedmont azalea, cross in nature. You can go up to Cherokee County and you can see quite a bit of them. You don't see it too much here in Cobb County, but the next county north, you can see that.
What them? Do you know? Bees?
Yep.
And so they're cross-pollination for you.
Right. This big red bush is called the Taiwan azalea, and it's a wild plant on Taiwan. Getting a little bit past bloom, just slightly, but still looks pretty good. Look at the foliage on this thing. It's real fuzzy, not like your azaleas that you see in your yard. And here's a large Japanese species azalea. You can see the bees all over it.
Nice.
It's a cultivar. Cultivar means a species, but a selected form that's got something different or more wonderful, allegedly, about it. So a lot of stuff that grows in Japan also grows in Korea. They're not very far apart. They're basically on the same latitude. The Chinese section here, I've got a rhododendron that's in full bloom right here.
Oh, wow.
That's a wild rhododendron called Rhododendron fortune. I think Fortune's rhododendron might be the common name. I don't know who Mr. Fortune was.
Obtained from
Rhododendron Species Foundation. I've got another one over here that's not quite blooming yet that I got somewhere else that behaves a little differently. This is the earlier one.
Huge blooms.
Yeah, well, the broadleaf evergreen rhododendron like that.
Thanks for watching. For more azalea, rhododendron, and other unusual plant tips, subscribe and let me know about your favorite azaleas and rhododendrons in the comments. See you again soon.